Morning, everybody. 8:11 a.m., January 27th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday did exactly what I thought it was going to do. If you saw my pre-market stream, I said this market's going to rip up. Don't know how it's going to do it, but it's good. Going to hit the liquid levels I talked about, and it did just that. But it happened to do it like literally off the open. Off the open didn't really give you much of a shot. And then once it did that, the market ran into some key levels. ES ran into last month's highs, a very liquid level, and the NASDAQ tried to take out the most traded price of the rolling year, and it couldn't do it. Why? Internals weren't that strong. They just weren't supporting a huge move up. Right? They had a decent short yesterday, um, and that's what's going on. So this morning, Boeing had earnings. They were down more than they were earlier. United Healthcare is getting slaughtered. Slaughtered. Now, I used to own that, and I'm thinking about possibly getting in there again. Not sure, but maybe. That's why the Dow is down. Okay. So, also because of Boeing. All right. And yesterday, like what I said yesterday, too, is the rotations now happened. The market's rotating back into technology. So once that this is happening, I said we shouldn't break all-time highs back in the Nasdaq, which hasn't done it again. And I don't know if this happens, but I'm ready to trim a lot of my positions if we do some type of all-time high blow off top thing for this year. I want to harvest some capital and then reduce my positions to trim them. I trimmed my silver yesterday again in a couple of my accounts. Had a sharp pullback. It's kind of recovering from the pullback. So metals are insane. Metals are insane. And we still have big earnings coming up this week. Okay. And I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I have one funded account that I passed, and I'm working on a second for Top Step. So I'm on my way to get funded, hopefully again. And then after this one, I might try to create another two accounts, I think, or one account, maybe one account. And I still might trade copy this combine. I haven't done it yet. I've been planning to create another combine and then copy them just so it speeds it up. We'll see. We'll see. I was supposed to do that already, but when the market changed a little bit, you know, so we'll see. And then I'll do trade copying to do three accounts. So we'll see. All right. Let's get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets. Along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge, the way I read markets. I also use market internals, some ICT smart money concepts for framework of my trades. And I use the weekly expected move indicator that you can get for free on my Discord. All right. Use them every day. Okay. I've pretty much called these markets, I don't know, for the last 2 weeks, every day, what I've said that my scenarios, my number one scenarios have played out. And a lot of times, which is frustrating a little bit, is that they happen like really off the open. And I don't like trading the open, but they happen very early. Like yesterday, had a big open test drive and then died. And then it was like a barcode. I just didn't have the strength to go up any higher. So that's the one thing about trading. It used to really frustrate me a lot that I would call what was happening in the market and I didn't have anything to show for it. Now I'm becoming at peace with it and just saying, you know what, I'm reading it right. And you're not always going to get the setup, right? And I can watch it, and I'm watching these scenarios play out, and I'm like, okay, there's really not an entry for myself here, and just have to sit, and then it just, man, because I don't want to chase, right? I don't want to create a habit and get paid, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to want to chase again. It's the worst thing you can do. It's the worst thing you can do. The market will take that money back. Okay? Because that's not a plan to chase. I want to set up, right? And it's not easy to do it. All right? Now, with that being said, hopefully you subscribe, set that alert. All right? I do this every morning. Give you the market story, the economic calendar, market news, leaders and laggards, why the market's doing what it's doing, with technical analysis that follows, and the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I will not steer you wrong. Like I said the other day, a couple of my community members basically, when I'm very confident in something, are making money. They are, one was an options trader, Rosita. She actually is like, oh, I just bought that put. I'm out. Thank you. Another guy's getting a funded trader. He's like, oh, once his system lines up and he hears me being very confident or passionate, he signals trade in. All right. That's not what I'm saying you have to do, but that is a bonus if you want to do that when you follow me in my Discord. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the futures. Now, tomorrow's FOMC. Today, maybe we might have a malaise today. All right? I don't know. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. We have big earnings. So let's talk about NASDAQ. Is up 0.62% this morning. You did have a little pullback in the overnights, but that got bought up. Crude is up 0.61. 10-year yield is up 0.5%. Ethereum's up 0.26, ES up 0.23, Bitcoin's up 0.21. Bitcoin's hovering around this 87,000. It's the most traded price of the rolling year. That's why it's balancing there. It's going to do something from here. I looked at a chart yesterday with my good friend Rosita, and it is in a huge balance area. And a big monster moves happening down or up from here. I don't know which way it's going to go. Gotta let the chart tell you. Okay? I know there's some portfolio managers I listen to starting a long position in Bitcoin because it's just oversold. I don't know. Like I said, that doesn't make me long or short, but that's a person I trust. But that still doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin goes up now. I don't know. Russell, flat. Gold, flat. 30-year bonds being sold. 30-year bonds being sold. VIX, down 0.43. Dollar, down 0.45. That dollar is going down. The dollar is going, it's at 96. All right, that's the yen. Probably getting love. And the euro. Okay, there's some yen intervention there. The Dow, down over 0.5%. That's with United Healthcare tanking. Silver is down 2.5%. Still at 112 on spot gold. Or futures gold, 112. $112 an ounce. I just read an interesting Twitter post from a guy who worked at a bank, and he was saying they went to jail, some of his bank, for spoofing silver, for manipulating it and suppressing the price. And he was explaining what they did, how they suppressed the, even though I heard this, that silver was manipulated, he's like, they knew it. that they needed silver for data centers, for solar, for semis. He's like, we knew it, but we were suppressing the price and spoofing, which is illegal. And he's like, we were part of that. And he explained that, I think he said Bank of America was short silver, or Citibank, one of those, and just lost like $2.5 million. He's like, now they're long. And there's not enough physical silver, right? And just to make everybody understand, in the futures market, right? If you buy something in futures, and a lot of people, I'm not saying don't do it, but it is a physical delivery system. Say you buy futures oil, you're supposed to get delivered oil. If it settles and like it settles, you get physical oil. That's why there's futures markets. That's why silver, if you, I guess, exercise your contract, your futures contract, that's the price you want to pay. You're supposed to get physical silver sent to you. And there's not enough silver. And people want their physical silver. So it's pretty crazy in silver. I don't know if everybody understands that. That's how futures work. That's why there's hogs, cattle futures, coffee futures, sugar futures, cotton, right? The agriculture stocks, soybeans, that's all stuff that like people buy for futures prices. You want to lock in a price. And then there's contango and backwardation. There's all this craziness, okay? Now, moving on. Mag 7 Plus. Look at Apple. Apple just got an upgrade, I believe, from JP Morgan. Up 1.59%. Google's up 1.20%. Broadcom's up 1.16%. Amazon up 0.73%. Microsoft has their own AI chip. I think it's called Maya. Interesting. AMD up 0.5%. Tesla's up 0.5%. A lot of positives. The lagger here is Boeing. Boeing reported earnings. And just like Boeing, I was looking at this thing again. I think when it was down to like, I don't know if it got down to the 160s, I believe. I was like, oh, this is probably a buy. I didn't pull the trigger. Look at it. It's at 245 right now. Unbelievable. Let's see. Moving on. Top sector stocks. Salesforce. Sales. Why is that up? I saw something about Salesforce. Let's see. I don't know why that's up right now. I'll figure it out. We'll get into it. Maybe not, but up 2.84%. So that's good. That is good. Technology. That's part of technology. Qualcomm up 0.76. GEV Vernova. They report earnings this week. I am a proud owner of GEV Vernova and Qualcomm. Let's see. And there's your United Healthcare getting slaughtered. Oof. Slaughtered. There was some news too that came out that was not good for insurance. Something to do with Dr. Oz, and I don't fully understand it. Medicaid, something about that was also negative. Plus United Healthcare's earnings. All right, let's get into granular list here. Oh, I always forget. Like I said, is this Arista or Cloudflare? I always forget, and I don't know why. I always forget. Let's maybe just click on this for a second here. Oh, whatever. Hold on a second. Let me see if it popped up. All right, that is. Nope. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Anyway, D-Wave looks like it's ion computing. Is that what am I saying that right? Quantum computing, ion computing. I was thinking of IonQ. Here we go. They're up. CoreWeave is up again. Raytheon, they reported earnings, I believe. General Motors, they reported earnings. Micron up 3.9%. All right, who's laggards? Woo! Humana, remember that insurance, right? CVS Health Insurance. Right? Reddit down's pretty big. But look at those insurance right there. CVS, Humana. I know CVS, I believe, has insurance as well. Okay, so those are the laggards. They're getting slaughtered. All right, moving on. Sectors. Semis up 1.32%. That's usually risk on, folks. Technology up a percent. Discretionary, that's your Tesla, Amazon, your Home Depot. They're up. Communications, Meta, Google, Netflix. All right, industrials up a little bit. And then the laggard today is your healthcare. United Healthcare, Humana, CVS down. Like I said, I don't know if that's an opportunity. Not sure what United Healthcare. Okay. Moving on. Economic calendar. Let's do it. All right. Today, ADP weekly change weekly. Let's see here. That came out already. Alrighty. We have CB consumer confidence. 10 a.m. today. CB. This is not the one that usually moves markets. That's usually the Michigan consumer sentiment. But we have to see API crude. All right, moving on. Let's go to earnings calendar. Let's just talk about that because there were some notables this morning. United Healthcare, Boeing, UPS, I believe had good earnings. General Motors, Raytheon, American Airlines, Northrop Grumman, Kimberly Clark. Today after the close, Texas Instruments, Seagate. Okay, before the open tomorrow, ASML, Assemi, GE Vernova, AT&T, General Dynamics, Starbucks, Progressive Insurance, ADP, and then the monsters. After FOMC, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, Lam Research, ServiceNow, IBM, Waste Management, Sands, Langdon Club. Wow. Wow. I don't trade FOMC. I don't find an edge much in the day of FOMC. I trade the morning. If there's something, there's something. But then I take the day off. I can go to Atlantic City in my case. I don't have much an edge there. Okay, the next day, I like to have the dust settle. All right, let's look at the juice here. Yeah, Trump speaks at 4. Moving on. Let's see if there's some summary here. Usually they give a nice little summary. Oh, didn't give it today. That's fine. Let's read something here. U.S. stock futures are headed for a new high, with technology shares leading the way as earnings season enters its busiest period. Gold rose for the 8th consecutive day. Let's see here if anything. I don't really see anything. I'm going to go to the more news here. General Motors core profit rises on higher demand for SUVs, pickup trucks. United Healthcare forecasts 2026 profits slightly above estimates. United Health forecasts 2026 adjusted profit slightly above analyst estimates, and a sign that medical cost control measures under CEO Stephen Hemsley were beginning to reap results. Let's see here. Tech earnings to test AI rally as resurgent Alphabet takes the lead. UPS forecasts upbeat 2026 revenue on the shift to higher value shipments. Micron plans 24 billion memory chip making plant in Singapore. All right, let's give it a little before the bell here. Futures linked to the SP 500 and Nasdaq were trading modestly higher as investors prepare for a heavy slate of corporate earnings and central bank developments. Pre-market quarterly reports from prominent U.S. companies, including Boeing, will be in focus, with traders seeking insight into demand trends across key industrial and consumer-facing sectors. The Federal Reserve begins its two-day policy meeting later in the day, with consensus pointing to no change in interest rates, which are currently projected to remain within the 3.5 to 3.75 range, while no policy adjustment is anticipated. Separately, European equity markets advanced, supported by company-specific catalysts that helped ease investor unease over trade tensions. This is what I was talking about here. While Japan's Nikkei index closed higher as technology stocks extend gains amid a softer yen. In commodities, oil prices edged higher as a winter storm disrupted U.S. crude production and refinery operations. All right. Let's see what else is here that I'm not aware of. Let's see. Okay. We'll go to upgrades, downgrades real quick here. Affirm upgraded. CoreWeave upgraded. Target upgraded. Those are your upgrades. Go to downgrades here. Procter & Gamble downgraded. Interesting. Okay, that is that. We're gonna be done there. We'll go to our little internals today. Little internal recap. Now Mondays are always a little weird. Okay, and this is what I was talking about here. You had that drive up. Now this might have been the potential pullback to get long. Okay, so maybe there was something, but then it kind of melted up, and then it just barcoded until boom, boom, boom. I'm being honest with you. I caught a couple shorts here, and I did catch this. I never trade, almost ever, near the close, but I had a pretty nice short, and I hit this right here. I think I'm a short from here, and I hit it right about there. I hit VWAP, which was a pretty good trade. Um, let's see here. So this internals. Now look, Infotech and financials, when they are together, the market's going to go up. Now discretionary was red. Now I want to point out one thing here is why I look at this. These Valdes are exchange level. Those are benign. A 1-to-1 ratio is not super strong. Look at the ADDs of the NYSE and the Nasdaq. That is literally parity. Even the S&P 500, 137 advancing is not super strong. Nasdaq plus 31. That's okay. Okay. And then internals, look. This is where I want to make sure you understand this. These bars are market cap weighted. These are all calculated based on market cap weights here. Each sector has a market cap weight, right? Some heavily more than others, like technologies, 35%. That is what's going to keep your market up with market cap weight. But I like to see what the equal weight's doing as well. They were disconnected. Notice the divergence all day. Equal weight was down. When you have equal weight disconnected, you tend not to get the biggest moves up. Hence why I looked short when I missed this long. Okay, that's your market internals recap. All right, now we're going to move over to daily charts now. So let's look at those dailies. Alrighty. So as expected, like I said, when we swept in futures, I said we're going to go up. We did, right? Inside last week's range. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Above last week's range. This is last week's highs. So look, we're inching towards all-time highs again. Remember what I talked about the Greenland? This was just an excuse to buy the market. That's what happened. And then Trump took it away, and look, gave us the fuel to go higher. Gave us the fuel to go higher. Let's expect it move 705 is expected to move to the upside. 672 expected move to the downside. Now those are the edges. Those are the edges. That's because of FOMC. Okay, that's why that's like that. Where are we now? 694.40. We are gapping up. Gapping up slightly from yesterday. Okay. Moving on to futures. Remember what this is all you needed to know yesterday. Sweep these two lows back into range. I said we're going to go up. Look what we did. We moved right up to last month's highs, like I just said. That was the liquidity level the market wanted. And then we pulled back. Right? That's last week's highs. So it looks like we want that 7,036 level. Right? There's a swing high here as well. In the daily, 7,017. That might be the next level we go to. I don't know. Okay? Everything looks bullish to me, even with FOMC. We're expecting a pause. And then you have big earnings, which could move markets. So that's why I wouldn't be in any kind of swing position right now. Qs. QQQ. Had a nice big move up, but then couldn't hold on to those gains. Okay. That's Friday's close. Right? Right there. Last week's close. Right? closed right at last week's highs. We're not too far away from all-time highs. Where's all-time highs? Oh, all-time highs is 637. So we have a ways to go still. I'm sorry. Okay. 629.26, 629. Oh boy. We're all the way up here. We're gapping up. We're gapping up, folks. So we're gapping up in the QQQ with technology and semis leading. Okay. Craziness, craziness, craziness. All right, futures. So here's futures. All right. Sweepy sweep. And now we moved up. And where did we hit? That swing high. Did we hit it? Yes, we did. Almost. That swing high is very pivotal. So that is the high is 260.45. We almost went there at 260.43. That's what the market wants probably. Now the next, you have a weekly high, a previous weekly high here, which is this. Then you have a previous month high, which is 26123. We're going to hit that. The 26123 level right here is probably the next destination. Okay? Probably, now look, you have a look below and fail here at this balance. I talked about that ad nauseum yesterday. All right? Now, let's look at the breadth. The breadth yesterday improved almost to 70% of stocks over their simple day 50 moving average. Like I said, once we get into the 85s, 80s, that's when the market's frothy. That's when I feel there could be a little bit of a blow off top. Okay? We'll have to see. I don't know. It's just a gauge. That's all it is a gauge. Okay? We're going to move on now to the hourly charts. Let's look at these hourly charts together. All right, and we'll go over what happened yesterday. Why what happened. Just to let you guys know, let me hold on a second. Let me put up the hourly chart graphic here. When I first started trading, I would love to have somebody like me to explain why things happen. Right? I did have a mentor, my first mentor, and he didn't explain the market why it did what it did at all to me. Even though he thought he was an awesome mentor, he didn't really explain, hey, listen, you see what we just did here? That's why this happened. It was moving averages based. Hey, you do this when moving averages do this. No context of the market. No, hey, this day is this kind of day, so we got to look at it like this. There was nothing like that. And I was in post-production industry for almost 30 years, and I was pretty much a boss of a boss of usually doing SOPs and workflows when the workflow didn't exist, and then I trained people or had my people train other people, and that was kind of, I always had to know why something worked, why something had to work. I just didn't want to know it like like a recipe, right? Like sometimes I always tell people, for myself, like they'd be like, how do you remember all that? Like when I was in post production or something, like they how do you remember all that? And I was like, I don't remember it. I wouldn't take notes. I wouldn't remember it. I would understand the process or the signal flow. And once I understood how it worked, I never forgot. Because now it wasn't steps to me. It was just the way it worked. And then you can figure out what something's wrong if you know how something works. Just like a car or something. Right? But if you don't know how the market works, it's very hard to have confidence in trading it. So I just wanted to give you a little insight on myself. All right, now let's look at this. Okay, so we already know we had this sweep, and I said even pre-market we were probably around here. I said we're going to reach these highs, at least we did, and then I said ultimate target probably is 69.90, which is the most traded price of the year. Then we hit last month's highs. That was the liquid that was the draw on liquidity yesterday, where the market wanted to hit, and then it swept that, and then it really just then had that sell-off. which didn't mean it was weak. It just meant it wasn't strong enough for the rest of the day. Okay. Then in the overnight, what did you do? You pulled back, right? Pulled back right to the week to date anchored VWAP. That's that green line. Made a swing low, and now you ripped all the way through this price and last month's highs. Now you're in supply, and you hit a swing high. This is this ray, this white line from a pass, swept the liquidity. Then the next move you do is you have to go down. And now we have this equal low here at 69.94. So this is your level to pay attention to. Is that at 69.94? I believe it is. Okay. So this equal low is what I'm all about right now. Okay. Because what are we doing right now? We're accumulating, right? That's what we're doing. And we're waiting for a manipulation. Some manipulative move. It hasn't happened yet. And what I think is going to happen, because this market is bullish, we're going to have to do some type of sweep here. And if you can't close down there and you do this, that's a long. And you're going to target at least 7,010 or this level here, this liquidity level here. That swing high. That's the overnight high. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. You do have some bullish fair value gaps here in the yellow boxes. You know you have the most traded price of this year here. You have a lot of confluence there. But that's, as long as this swing low is secure, the trend is secure. Okay, the trend is secure. So you can have a pullback all the way to here. Now there is a little swing low here. It's more of an equal low. I think the market structure change would happen if you took that low out. Okay, but we are in supply. Okay, notice we're just accumulating. And I'm hoping some of my theory, again, what I think should happen, happens where it gives me a shot to do it. Now, we do have 10 a.m. news, but I would still go into a long if it was like 9:40, 9:45. I would still do a long. Okay? NASDAQ. Okay, NASDAQ. Same thing. I had that little sweepy sweep from yesterday. Right there. Sunday open. Remember, here's your balance. Here's the manipulation. And then what you got to do is go back to the next draw on liquidity or the next key swing high. We did that here. Then we had trouble with the most traded price of the rolling year, that orange box. Right? And we could not really close above it. And then it just took it down a little bit. Right? And where did we go? To last week's highs. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that. Now, not much to explain. It's pretty much the same here. Now, from the past, I can zoom this out. Where the liquidity lies. Okay. So all-time highs are all the way up there. But if we zoom in here, there's swing highs here. Right? So this swing high right here is in a major supply zone. We did close above this one, but we're back below it. Okay. There's another swing high here. So that is, they call the draw on liquidity. What's going to attract the next move to, right? So this is our overnight high. We have an equal low here now. Right here. Demand here and another equal low. Equal lows are very susceptible. Okay? They're very magnetic. Okay? Because people will have stops here. People might have sell markets here. Might be long there. Like there's just a lot of liquid there. Okay? So, again, what I would think could possibly happen, we're in a major supply. We hit a swing high here. This right now would be a sweep. The next move would be a little move lower. We might take out this equal low, go to this equal low and this demand, and there's a bullish fair value gap right here. And then a major demand zone right here. So anywhere in here is a buyable pullback to go up high to hit the overnight high. The momentum's with bulls. Okay? So that's what I'm looking for. We're over the most traded price of the last year. That is very bullish. We're over ultimate balance. All that is very bullish. And we're now established a new uptrend. Now, I didn't say it in my ES, but here's my daily candle. Opened here. Boom. The last 4 hours is a little bearish. It has an inverse hammer. Right? That's showing me the last 4 hours. So I think this is going to get hit. Then this is going to get hit, the 259.67s. And I think if we sweep into here and close back in here, that's a long. I don't know if that happens, but that's the most likely what's going to happen. All right. That's your hourlies. Now, let's move on. We'll go into the market profile, volume profile now, and we'll end it there. Now, right now, as we speak, the market is literally at the highs of yesterday. Okay? So, into supply. Like I said, I'm expecting some type of pullback. Okay? So, let's look at what we did. Okay? This is your most traded price of this year. 69.89s. Or 69.90. Let's call it 69.90. Okay? It happens to be your 24-hour most traded price of the last month. Notice all the volume up here in skinny volume. Okay? We ran into supply. Right? We just went from here all the way up to here. So a little bit of a corrective action could take place here, which is already starting to happen. All right. So what I said before was this is the area I want to concentrate on. The most traded price of this year and of the last 30 days with these bullish fair value gaps in here. That's where I think the pullbacks can happen. Maybe even all the way to yesterday's close and the most traded price of yesterday. I have to be biased long. Okay. Overnight VPOC's up here. So I think if we push, you'll see a move down. I don't know how far. But remember, most people are here are long. So if the farther you go away, they're going to have to eventually liquidate their long. Okay. Now we have our overnight high. Okay. Now, I wouldn't want to see the overnight lows really taken, right? So I'm going to put a box on this bullish fair value gap here. Now I'm going to break out the session. Okay. So, let's get into scenarios. All right. So, this is already setting up pretty much how I want it to. Okay. I think we move higher. Okay. We are in a heavy supply, 6 hour supply zone. Have to respect it. Like I said, all this support and this thin volume, I expect to pull back. So, what can happen here? I expect we can go all the way to here. Any support here, even if we tip down here and you do this, hold it, you can hit the overnight highs and go all the way up to about 7,000. I think that's 15 maybe, and maybe go higher. I don't know. FOMC's tomorrow, big earnings tomorrow. I don't know how much we go before all that, but that's a possibility. I am very interested in something like that. Now, maybe you get a bear trap where you go out, take the overnight lows out, last week's highs, right? And then also in this bullish value gap, it holds. That could also possibly be a long. Now, I'd only do that if the market isn't that weak. That's my longs. All right, shorts. All right, now look, remember what I just said. The farther we get away from the overnight VPOC, you're going to get a corrective action. Okay? So, shorts. Now, it's probably not going to be worth it now. It's probably going to happen before the market opens. Okay? So, what could I expect? Well, right here, if you take this out, right, you're going to, now this is, I want to make this clear. If we take this out and say we close somewhere here, had an hourly close, a half hour close, then retest this most traded price, you could roll. Take out the overnight lows. And this is not the best structure here, so I know it's a bullish for value gap. But if the market really gets cooking, this could take this out and go right back to ultimate balance, which is 69.45. Okay. That's kind of all I would be interested in. And like I said, I'm biased long. Okay. NASDAQ. NASDAQ is gapping up. It's stronger right now. It pretty much wants those all-time highs. There's an unfilled gap above us as well. Okay. So if we're looking at the NASDAQ, first thing you got to mark off is the gap fill, 25932. Okay. Also, let's just make a box around the most traded price of the rolling year, which includes the close, last week's highs. Okay. We just went into a major demand zone. Supply zone, I'm sorry. That is caused to some selling. Understandable. Now, in your NASDAQ, I explained it earlier, right? So we have our overnight highs. Oh, horrible. With the supply. But this is the key area. Really, let me get rid of that. I don't really need to have that on there. This area in here is just a long territory. You want a pullback long in there. Okay. Let's go over the scenarios. I really like longs the NASDAQ here. All right. So, good morning, Chief. Let's look at NASDAQ. I just saw you, Chief, checking in. I'm not sure if you see it or hearing it, but now let's check out the scenarios here. I am bias long. Okay. And we did sweep here. So I expect, remember we have an equal low here. I expect to get some pullback. And if you go into this bullish rag up or this major demand in the most traded price of the rolling year, anywhere in this area, and you hold, that's a long. Maybe target the end of the supply or gap fill here. Not the bottom of the gap, 26150. Now, if we start really firing off, this gap could get filled. I don't know. I don't know if we do that today. Okay. Now, the bear trap here would be if you took out, and this is poor structure here. That is poor. Okay, so if we get really rolling, this could disappear, right? And if you don't know about the importance of this swing low, or the week to date anchor VWAP, right? Or last week's highs. And it's sweat. If we do this and we tiptoe into this bullish fair value gap and we do this, that's a long all day. You target the overnight highs and then you target somewhere up here. Okay? Don't know if that happens or not. Right? Price will tell me what I want to do. Now, just because I drew this, right, and this comes, let's say this scenario came and the market is kind of really weak, I'm not probably going to be as confident to take that long. Okay? They all got to line up. Everything's got to line up. So let's go over to shorts now. Okay? Short side. All right, so we know we have a sweep up here. We know this is major supply. I don't go long in my supply. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't like to short in demand unless I'm seeing a supreme weakness. But generally, I don't like to do it. Okay? Because you want to be on high probable setups. You don't want to put roadblocks in your way. That's hence poor structure. Poor structure here in a very weak market just gets ripped. Okay? Now, this hasn't happened yet. So, what I think could happen, and if you're a short scalper, or you want to take advantage of a quick move, this could happen very quickly. Take all this back. Maybe we hit yesterday's most traded price. Okay? Remember, you cannot lose this box. So, if we come into this box, if I had a lot of lots on, I'd scale some out. Because I don't trust being in this major demand zone. Now, if it's super weak, you can hold it. Hold it to the swing low or the overnight lows. If this breaks and we start to hold and find acceptance here, this is not the greatest structure either. Single prints right here. And I know there's a bullish fair value gap here, but in weak markets, large fair value gaps or single prints, they get taken out. And then you go back to ultimate balance. Ultimate balance, the major level in the NASDAQ futures is 257. Okay? Now, if the market, okay, comes down here and just sweeps this, and we go up here, sweep the high, still in supply, try to go up, fail, put some lower highs in, and say the market's not that strong, I think also you could just revert back to this mean. That might happen later in the day. I don't know. This market has not been the easiest to really, I've had, all transparency, I think I've had about, I don't know, eight or 9 weeks of profitability in a row. So I'm not going to complain. And I know these markets haven't been the easiest, which is why I'm giving myself a bigger tap on the shoulder for having 8 or 9 weeks of profitability, right? Based on these markets every day, very rarely do you get everything all strong or everything all weak where it makes it easier. It's not. It's been mixed. It's been very, very mixed. So I really like to wait for the story to come out. At least the first 15, 20 minutes to go, oh, okay. All right, this is what's going on today. Because it's not easy. A lot of times when I first post in my Discord, I give you the 15 minutes. I go, hey, this is what I'm looking at right now. And I either go, I like this, or I say, I need to have more data. Because a trade always comes up. But I want to get all my eggs in one basket before I really commit to something. Because a lot of times when I'm kind of like, like that's my own indicator telling me, well, you don't have a high conviction on this. Okay? So these have not been the easiest markets. Even though I've been profitable for like 8 or 9 weeks in a row, I think that's more of a testament if I've been seeing markets that the markets have not been easy. Okay? All right. Now, if you enjoyed that, please smash the like button. That would help my channel out tremendously. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert to give you the market story and a bunch of technical analysis, news, all that yada yada. Okay? Now, please join. All right? I won't steer you wrong. Now, if you want more in depth, and I don't know if Rosita's still in here, she can give me a 100 or she can give me some kudos. She called me a ninja last week. She called me a cheat code last week. She's like, you're a cheat code. This is ridiculous. I'm like, and she was making money. She made some money last week based on my analysis. Okay? So, if you want that in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? I won't steer you wrong. I won't. And if you do what Rosita does here, she's made some loot. Okay? And I'm not selling an alert service. I'm just saying Rosa and another good friend of mine, when they hear me get amped up and say, if this happens, this should, oh, they're in something. And sometimes I can say that, but I don't have a setup. Let's say it would be me chasing. I don't trade it, but then they're making money. That's great. That's awesome. Okay? So, that is it for me, folks. Hope everybody has a great day. This market, again, made a move higher. We have FOMC tomorrow and big earnings tomorrow. Okay? Today we have the consumer confidence at 10. I'm not sure. That's not the one that usually moves, but be careful. Be careful. All right? So everybody have a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. Hope to see you in my Discord. If not, see you tomorrow morning.